Hey guys, welcome to Coffee Convos. Hey Lindsie.
Oh, I'm so excited to be sitting across from you.
You're
so brown and
brown.
Yeah, like your skin's so like
tan
and glowing, and you're not on island time anymore.
No,
thank God.
I'm not. That was brutal, honestly. Like when we got, it wasn't so hard adjusting to Hawaii time when we got there, but when we came home, it was so brutal. Like, me and the kids were up until 4 a.m. Like, we were watching movies until 4 a.m. because we couldn't sleep. And then that first day, then that morning, we slept until 2 in the afternoon.
Did you feel like vagabonds? Like, that you had,
what?
like vagabond? Like, a person that... I don't really know, like, how you would describe a vagabond, but in my mind, it's like a person that... like really doesn't have any like life plans. They're
oh
just
my gosh,
like,
no, because it was like overwhelming of all of the things that I needed to get done. Mm-hmm. But it was just no energy because even the kids. I mean, we stayed up until 4 in the morning, probably 3 nights in a row, and then it went to like 2 in the morning, and then it went to 1 in the morning.
So it was like a slow progression to back to normal.
Of like going back. And I had texted V like the third day, and because Isaac had gone back to his dad's, and I was like, hey, I wasn't able to sleep still. How did Isaac sleep? And she's like, oh, we had to wake him up around like 10:30. So he was still adjusting, but the baby was the worst, like trying to get him to go back to the schedule. I mean, he was waking up in the middle of the night, and then he was sleeping in late, and then his naps weren't on time. So it was crazy, but I wouldn't change it for the world because, I mean, those 3 weeks that we were there was incredible.
Well, first of all, everyone who has a baby knows that when a baby's sleep schedule gets off, life is actually what I would imagine the burning gates of hell would be like.
Honestly, though, because Lux naps from 1 to 3 like clockwork. Like, he's napping 1 to 3 no matter what. If we're in the car, if we're home, no matter what.
Yeah.
So when that was thrown off, and like I know he wakes up around like 6:30 every morning. So I'm like running into the room, making sure that he's still breathing because you're sleeping until 8 o'clock in the morning. And, I don't know, I was just and then I was so tired, and I'm moving, right? So I have so many things that I'm trying to get done, and I just couldn't, I was like, no energy. I had no desire.
Okay. So first of all, you need to like get reintroduced to the podcast. I feel like,
honestly, I'm waiting for the caffeine to kick in right now.
You need to tell the listeners, like, sorry that you were gone.
Sorry that I was gone.
Sorry that you were on island time for 3 weeks and the rest of us weren't.
I'm not sorry for that.
You don't feel bad that I wasn't?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it would have been nice for you to be in Hawaii, and we could have recorded the podcast from Hawaii together. That would have been cool. Fun. Because I did record for Leah's podcast while we were there. Yeah. She brought all her equipment. But
that's not a thing.
But her, Lindsie, her co-host was also in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So it made sense. Like, you weren't there, and to schedule with a 6-hour time gap was like, this is not a good idea. And also my kids were little hellions. Like, they were running around everywhere.
And nobody would have even been able to understand like what was going on in the podcast.
No, you'd hear me yelling at them all day.
Would have been chaos, and you would have been telling them that you were going to kill them. And just kidding. So tell me about your adventures in Hawaii.
Okay.
Like, what did you do?
Where do I start? Okay, well, first, let me start by saying we talked about the Mexico thing where I took the kids to Mexico by myself with no help, and it was fun, but it was also a real struggle. Mm-hmm. This time I had
single mom life really kicking in.
It was full blast. So the trip to Hawaii, I had asked Lux's preschool teacher to come with us, and she could only take off a couple days. So she only came the first week, but I was like, okay, perfect. That should be enough time for me to
adjustment time.
Yeah. To like at least adjust and take the older boys to go do some things. You know what I mean? Where it's like not the whole time, whatever. So she came with, and she was a huge help, and it was really nice too because I wanted her to experience Hawaii too. Like, thank you for coming out and helping. So the one day I wanted to take Isaac and Lincoln to go do something, so she stayed with the baby. But then Isaac wanted to go do this dolphin excursion, and I had already done it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, if you want to take Isaac, I'll stay with Lincoln and Lux. So we just kind of rotated. It was like partners.
Right, yeah.
So it was really nice. But so Isaac got to go see dolphins, and Lincoln snorkeled for the first time, and we got a boat. We rented a boat for 2 days, and it was really, really awesome because the kids were jumping off the boat.
I loved the boat pictures.
Oh my gosh, they had such a blast.
And they were all like sleeping, like...
Oh, by the end of the boat day, they were knocked out.
It's so cute.
It was really weird, but also really cool to see, you know, all of our kids together. They haven't been together since like a reunion in probably 2015.
I'm confused though, because I guess y'all just stopped bringing the kids.
Yeah, I refused. I don't know who the first one was, but I started refusing to bring the kids because of all the drama. Yeah. And I think the other cast members felt the same way, or they had the same reservations around the same time. And it was just a huge, like, as far as the reunion segments go, like, they were long days. We were all in the studios with the kids for like 12 hours.
Right.
So it just didn't make sense to have us all there and do it that way. So I started saying, like, I'm not bringing my kids. Well, now that we've done it a little bit differently, I would like to film a reunion segment with my kids. So I don't know. We'll see about this year. But,
well, I can kind of relate on just the fact of like the long days, because once Jackson got, I think he was 3.5 is when we hired a nanny, because I would go back and forth from Nashville, because obviously I was still living in Atlanta. My family was in Nashville and the show was being filmed out of Nashville. So typically I would take the first flight out of Atlanta on a Monday. And then if I only had a couple of scenes, I would be able to come back home. But the nanny was based here in Atlanta. She would take care of Jackson while I was gone for work, and then also like get him to and from his preschool. Because at that point, not that it was super important for him to be in preschool, but I felt like to establish
like normalcy, like a schedule.
Yeah, like a schedule, and just being like a normal kid. Yeah. It was too hard during those school months to take him back and forth, and then the filming days were so long. So we would film, you know, like you said, 8 or 10 hours a day. And then by the time that was over, it's like he wasn't able to be a kid. Right. So you kind of go between that. There's that fine line there between, you know, you want them to be involved. And when they're not involved, then you get the backlash of people saying, well, where's your kids?
I get that all the time. And that's what I said this year. I was like, well, last year I was in and out. I mean, there was other shit going on, but like this year I was like, I have my kids that weekend. I have my kids the weekend of the reunion. So you guys have me for one day, and I want to film a scene with my kids. I want them to be a part of it, but at the same time, I don't want them waiting around in a studio for 12 hours or 8 hours or even 6 hours. Like that's not their job.
Right.
So, yeah, that was really rough, but the kids, they haven't seen each other. They don't remember each other. Or they used to get together as kids, but they don't remember that. So the kids hit it off like they've known each other their whole lives.
But they basically, like... They've known each other and known of each other, but then the seeing each other, like, occasionally. It's kind of like, this is really funny. When we went on vacation, my father-in-law was telling Jackson about having, like, pen pals or people that you like meet over the summer, or like families do like the same family vacations and you see them like one time a year. It's kind of like that, you know, it's like you see them one time a year and then you just pick up where you left off.
I mean, it was so fun, and I'm so glad we went the Airbnb route, because 1, it was cheaper, and 2, the kids got to have sleepovers, and like they had such a blast.
I forgot about the whole like fact of sleepovers.
No, they had a freaking blast. It was so cool. And like the first night right away, Addie was like, Lincoln likes me, and I need you to get him to tell the truth. Like,
because she wanted him to like her.
We're a riot. Like, and Lincoln's like, I don't even like girls. No, I don't like you. Like, I don't like girls. He's like, I actually hate girls, and I only have friends that are boys.
Well,
I'm like,
Lincoln's one of those. He's like just a straight up boy.
Oh my gosh. But they had a blast. So we're going to do this. I think we're going to do it every year, because they just had so much fun. I love that.
All right, guys. I know that we have talked about this company that makes stylish shoes for women and girls out of recycled plastic water bottles before. I just want to remind you that they are insanely comfortable and machine washable.
Rothy's has quickly grown to a most loved, gotta have them brand. It's no surprise that they have over 1,000 nearly perfect reviews. I love them. I think they're great because I love that they're made out of recycled plastic water bottles, and they're just so comfortable. They're perfect for a slip-on.
And I feel like they're plain enough but fashionable enough to like kind of go with everything. So
like
you
dress them up, dress them down.
You can't go wrong with it. So, and help the environment, guys.
It'll blow your mind that they're made from recycled plastic water bottles. And in fact, Rothy's has diverted over 25 million water bottles from landfills. They have a ton of colors and different styles and different looks, but all of them are comfortable and super cute.
Plus, Rothy's always comes with free shipping and free returns and exchanges. No risk, no worries, no reason not to try it. Check out all the amazing styles available right now at rothys.com/coffee. Go to rothys.com, rothys.com/coffee to get your new favorite flats, comfort, style, and sustainability. These are the shoes that you have been waiting for. Head to rothys.com/coffee today. So we actually filmed in Hawaii.
You did?
Yes, Hawaii actually was Jackson's first
like real vacation,
real flight. Like
that's a long flight.
A long flight. And when I tell you, we flew from Atlanta to LA.
Okay.
And then my parents, I guess they flew, I can't remember if they were on the flight from, they must have flown from Nashville into Atlanta and then from Atlanta to LA and LA and to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. But when I tell you it was Jackson's first flight, Will was not with me.
How old was Jackson?
I think that was the trip right before I got a nanny. So he would have been some between like 3 and 3.5.
Okay.
He was really good. And this is going to sound really bougie, but thank God for that first class ticket because we had so much more room up there.
Oh my God.
You know,
let's talk about travel with kids for a second when you're done. Because honestly, I think we don't talk about it.
Don't get it. So, you know, and also like the service of being able to get a drink and having the bathroom, you know, like literally right there. And I think that he was still in diapers, Kail, I think. But I love the fact that my parents sat in the first row of first class and watched reruns of shows. And I felt like I was, you know, just thrown to the wolves by myself with, you know, Jackson on his first flight. And when we got there, everybody was like, "Oh, how was your flight?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've been wrangling this 3-year-old for the past 6 hours." And then I get there and my luggage is the only luggage that is jacked up. Like it was going around the carousel. I kept seeing all these people, like this stuff out of somebody's luggage, and it was my shit like going around and I didn't realize it. And then when I got to the hotel, they had given me like a bag to put all of my stuff in because my suitcase busted. And they gave me a bag to put all my stuff in. And when I got to the Four Seasons, I literally almost fucking blew up the Four Seasons because I plugged in my hairdryer and it caught on fire because the cord got
damaged,
severed like in the
carousel or whatever it was. Yeah.
Damaged. So, but I will say that we were there, I want to say it was like 8 days, I think. And I didn't feel like it was long enough to go that far with that big of a time change with a little one like that. Like maybe for me, it would have been fine.
Right. Because I've been to Hawaii for a week by myself, and the time I was fine.
Yeah.
But like with a kid for a week, I mean, I don't know. Like I have friends there right now. They're there with their kids. They have an infant and a 3-year-old.
Let's talk about kids travel.
So my flight to Hawaii was 13 hours.
No.
With 3 kids. And like I said, Mariah did come with us, but she sat way far back in the plane. Mm-hmm. So she didn't, not that she wouldn't have helped me, but she was of no help at that time. And the flight, if you guys have never been to Hawaii, they're really big planes, at least for the one that I was on. And so the middle aisle is 4 seats, which worked out because it was me, Lux, Lincoln, Isaac.
Was it a direct flight?
No, but it was we still had 4.
Where did y'all land?
We went from Philly to Vegas, from Vegas to Hawaii.
Okay.
My older 2, I go prepared because I fly all the time. Mm-hmm. So I went prepared even for Lux, but Lux is just such a tiny terror that he like gave no fucks. He didn't want the iPad. He ate all the snacks in the first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to color. He's dropping everything.
Or ripped out all the pages so there's nothing to even color.
So my older 2 are good, but then Lux is like, what do you do? Like, and especially because he wasn't 2 yet.
Isn't that
so
funny?
He's just
because
on his way to being 2.
You get it. Jackson was 3 And
and that's the age that they're like, because I feel
they're
like
curious.
Yes. And like he wanted to run up and down the aisles. And I was like,
and you're like, these people are texting. If they've got an iPhone, they're texting all the people that they know on their iPhone. And they're like, this bitch.
So let me just tell you, Lincoln had fallen asleep on the way to Vegas. And because we had all the seats, he like laid down, but his feet were sticking out of the aisle a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh. So like I fell asleep too. And every time like I would feel someone coming, I'd quickly move his feet. Well, this flight attendant was so fucking rude, and she yelled at me, and I was like, he's a little boy, like, I'll fix it, just let me know, like, I'll move his feet. Yeah. And then she just yelled at me, and I said, I said it in the calmest voice, I was like, you're probably the rudest flight attendant I've ever had. And she goes, I'm writing you up, and she like had this huge thing, and I was like, okay, calm down, like, relax, he's a little boy who fell asleep, like, his feet are sticking out, I'm gonna fix it, I'm his mom, like, it's fine. And
you're writing me up for what?
Because I said she was rude. Well, she was
so like, who's she going to give that to?
It's how you say it, right? Like, I'm so sorry that my son had his feet in the aisle. I'm so sorry, but he fell asleep. We all fell asleep. This is a really long flight. Like, I wasn't doing it like he didn't do it intentionally. He's 5 years old.
I would have just said, just write me up.
I did. I was like, oh, I'm in seat 33. Like, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So,
Send it to the
was
principal.
a little bit rough, but and getting home was also rough. I'm not going to lie. Just like those long freaking flights.
It's so hard to travel with kids, and I feel like, especially when you have babies. And, I mean, obviously, is Lux still in a diaper?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, kids that are in diapers, it's so hard because I feel like you literally have to carry your closet with you.
Yeah.
And
I didn't do it. I brought one extra outfit.
So many people. I traveled with Jackson for so long by myself because the last bit of time that I was on the show, I was also separated. So I would travel by myself with him, and it's crazy that you would think that people, I don't expect people to help me, but
no.
You see people like huffing and puffing when you're like
and
trying
like,
to get the kids' shoes
helping,
off. And
instead of huffing and puffing, you could be helping.
Yeah, you could be helping. But, you know, I'm trying to get like 3 bags in the overhead compartment. Like, I've got a little kid that, you know, he's not minding, and it's just, it's chaos.
There was a family like diagonal in front of me, but I could see them. It was a mom, I'm assuming a mom and dad and a little girl. And the little girl had to have been the same age as Lux. She was so fussy at some point because I'm sure it was like that transition between like day and like going to sleep. But because we were on the flight and it was so long, it was just hard. Yeah. So I have Lux asleep in my arms, and I would have helped her if I could have, but I couldn't put him down. And so they gave her the phone and played a song for her. Mind you, she's probably 1.5, maybe 2.5. She's not going to wear headphones.
Right.
She's just not going to wear headphones.
Oh, God, somebody had a problem.
Someone walks up to them and is like, this is so disturbing. You need to turn that off or turn it down. And I literally wanted to look up at him and be like, what is the alternative here? For her to scream? Do you want her to scream for everyone, or you're going to just listen to a song? And it wasn't like a toddler song. It was like a regular song. It didn't disturb me, and I was literally right next to them.
And the thing is people don't realize that when you're traveling with kids, like, we as parents also don't want to hear it.
Right.
But it's just
this is our child,
and like, this is our life.
Well,
and
but also we
fly private. That's all I know.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I said we didn't fly first class. So to me, you paid for coach, and so did they.
Right.
So you're going to get coach behavior,
right,
or whatever you want to call it.
You
know, and what is the alternative to this song? You
would
rather her sit there and scream?
If Jackson was being bad in first class, I would probably feel bad because it's like
first
business
class
professionals.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, he's done it, so
I just couldn't, like, I truly wanted to just scream at him, and if I didn't have Lux in my arms, I probably would have told him to shove it up his ass because it pissed me off. Like, it hurt my feelings for them.
Get going.
Honestly, like, we're on a 13-hour flight home, and you're concerned because I don't know. It just irritated me, and I wish I knew who they were. Okay, you guys, can we talk about how frustrated I get when I go shopping for beauty products? It's hard to know where to start, and you just hope that the employee knows what the heck they're doing.
It can be overwhelming to go into a store, but with Birchbox, I get what I need delivered conveniently to my house. Birchbox puts the fun back into shopping for beauty products.
Each month, you'll receive a box full of awesome deluxe and travel size samples without the hassle of a salesperson asking you a million questions.
I actually hate when people ask me questions, and that's why I love these things. Birchbox works with over 500 brands to offer you a large variety of hair, skin, and lifestyle products to suit your needs. I actually just recently got a Birchbox, and I was super excited when I saw it. I get excited when I see the little cute boxes because I never know what's going to be in it. But I got a primer that I love, and my skin's sensitive, so I really like to try like new products. And sometimes when they don't send a full size or it's like a travel size, I like it better because if I don't like the product, then I know like I would never buy it, you know, from the store in full size. So it's perfect for me.
Head to birchbox.com/combos to get started with your Birchbox and get $5 off when you use promo code combos. That's promo code combos at birchbox.com/combos for $5 off your first Birchbox. Birchbox.com/combos.
So are you allowed to talk about, because
Yes,
we
I can talk
received
about it.
so many messages on Instagram of why
we
Leah
didn't
was
film.
allowed to film,
Yes.
but you weren't allowed to film, and how it wasn't fair, and how people wanted to see, you know, your excursions in Hawaii too. What was the background story? And then also people wanted to know, after I had posted who we were interviewing in Atlanta, people had posted asking why V wasn't on
Part
the
of it.
list.
Okay.
So can we just clarify?
Yes, so follow
You guys,
this.
we're going to be so honest with you. We have entered a new phase of like, I mean, not that we weren't honest before, but it's like
just different now.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So follow it as closely as you can. And if I leave out anything, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to try not to because I am going to take full accountability for this. Okay. Leah and I had this trip planned to Hawaii for a long time. And remember a while back, I had said that I was going to go to jail on the podcast.
Yeah.
So,
But it was like
this
so
is
nonchalant too.
directly related to Hawaii. I didn't know how much I could say at the time, but now I'm going to tell you all because this is what it is. So, originally was going to go to Hawaii July 5th through the 20th, which is 2 weeks. I realized that first week of July was my week, and Leah was going on the 1st. So obviously wanted to go and be with them the first week so I could be a full 3 weeks. It was my week anyway. I changed the dates after I submitted my 30 days notice to Chris, Joe, and Javi for vacation.
Is that a clause that you have? Like
We have to write 30 days notice for vacation, first come, first serve. So if I put in my 30 days notice before he does or anyone, it's mine.
Right.
So I had submitted for July 5th. Well, I realized July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th was mine. I'm just going to leave on the 30th so that we're there. So I texted Joe. I said, hey, do you think I can get Isaac a little bit early on the 30th? I was supposed to get him anyway at 6 p.m., but I was hoping to get him around like maybe 4. So we can catch our flights to Hawaii.
2 hours, not that big of a deal.
Not that big of a deal. If he said no, again, not that big of a deal. Just wanted to make sure we were on time because, you know, I'm good for missing flights. No response. I had no response for a week. So I booked the flights and I was just going to do my best to make them and do whatever. I wanted to make sure that we were on time. So I texted him again and I said, hey, can I get Isaac a little bit early? At that point, he responded, no, the 4th of July is mine. I did not realize in our custody agreement,
schedule.
Right, because Javi and Chris had both agreed. So, and never mentioned 4th of July. Like, they didn't mention it to me, and I've never fought with any of my kids' dads about 4th of July before. I've never fought about it. And he said, no, 4th of July is mine. I said, oh, well, do you think we can switch? Like, either I take him this year and you take him next year, or I'll give you Christmas instead of 4th of July. Because I have him for Christmas this year. I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't care about Christmas that much. It just is what it is. And I'd rather have this and then whatever. He says no.
Okay.
At that point, I decided to take it upon myself. Mind you, this man would not have Isaac for the fireworks. He would have him from 9 in the morning till 5 p.m. on 4th of July. A total of 8 hours, no fireworks, no nothing. What is the reason you don't want to give him to me? I'm irritated. And
this is a specific situation. You know, it's not like you're trying to keep him from him on the 4th of July. It's literally the fact that you had booked flights.
He didn't answer me.
It was your week.
I booked it. Nobody else made a big deal about 4th of July. I understand that that's Joe's time. I get it. But at that point, I made the decision. I'm going anyway. I already have him the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd. You're only getting him for 8 hours. I was trying to be reasonable with you. I offered you Christmas. I offered you other holidays, and you're not working with me, but you're also not giving me a reason why. You're not telling me you're having a barbecue. You're not telling me you're doing anything else.
A barbecue.
Well, I thought maybe for 4th of July, maybe he wants them because he's having a barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're just saying no. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I had said it on the podcast before, but I know they filmed it for Teen Mom. While I was in Costa Rica, Joe told me he didn't even want me taking Isaac to Hawaii at all. And I texted him back and I said, you don't get a say in that. I am entitled to vacation time, and I put my days in. Like, I put your week that I requested, and then Joe actually requested one of my weeks. So it was just a flip-flop. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
yeah.
I'm not taking I'm not taking anybody's time and not giving it back to them.
Right.
So he didn't want me to go at all. Well, because Joe was supposed to get 9 to 5 on 4th of July, it becomes a legal issue. So MTV could not film it because it was I just said, well, why don't we film everything but 4th of July? And they said because it was attached to the 4th of July, and I could be, if he filed and I was found in contempt, it was a legal issue that they were not allowed to be a part of because they didn't want
it to look like they were encouraging.
Correct. So that's why they couldn't film. It had nothing to do with Chris. Chris ended up surprising us in Hawaii. I had no idea he was coming. I know I got a ton of backlash and people saying that I paid for it, and I truly had no idea.
Chris has a job for everybody who's listening.
And it had nothing to do with him because they've filmed around him before. He's filmed, they filmed him in the background of Lincoln's birthday party. Like, they would have done the same thing. But it became a legal issue for them that they didn't want the liability of.
Oh, and while we're on the topic of this, whoever has been the person that has been calling and FaceTiming me, I now don't have the same number. So you can't do that. And to be talking about Kail's little family with, Chris and Lux and how they knew that he was in Hawaii and all this stuff. People act like it was such a big secret. Just because you don't go and broadcast the fact that he was there doesn't mean that it was a secret. And I don't know why I was receiving text about it. It was also
they told
text about Brianna, text about, and I'm like, I don't even know these people.
No.
I don't even know what relevance, why these people would be trying to call and FaceTime me, how they got my number. It was literally insane, all because Chris was in Hawaii.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like Chris people can go wherever he wants to go.
With him. Yeah, Chris can do whatever the hell he wants. And matter of fact, even in Hawaii, there were days that he went off and did his own thing. So
good for him.
I'm just like, okay. So while we were in Hawaii, I want to say it was one of the last days, V texted me and was like, hey, can you talk for a second? Because she's supposed to be on this trip to Atlanta with us now. Mm-hmm. I guess I don't know how much she knows of the situation of the Hawaii thing. But at the end of the day, Joe is her husband, and she's going to respect her son. She's going to respect her husband and his wishes and the situation too. So my intentions were never to put her in the middle. Mm-hmm. But while Joe and I are having issues, she's not going to come out on the podcast. And I run off at the mouth all the time. I mean, while I am taking full accountability for this, I do feel like I understand where she was coming from and not wanting to be a part of it because of this.
Right, yeah.
So she said once Joe and I resolve it, she would love to come back on the podcast, but she just wanted to talk it out because MTV was going to film it. And I don't really know how much of...
That almost puts her in a bad situation because It's like, okay...
She doesn't know what I've said. She doesn't know... She said she didn't really know the situation at all. Like, Joe didn't really talk to her about it. So she just didn't want to be in the middle, and I understand that.
And I feel like y'all have an honest relationship, so whenever you told me that was like what was said...
going on.
I feel like I believed everything that she said.
I respect it too. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to put... Like, I hate Joe's guts right now, but I'm not here to put V in the middle. I'm just not.
Right.
Okay, so if you're anything like me, you hate going to the grocery store, sitting in traffic, finding a parking spot, and honestly, the worst part is wrangling the kids to just get in the store and find what you need. It's a huge pain, but now thanks to Instacart, you can order groceries from your favorite local stores and national retailers and have someone else do the shopping for you. I started using Instacart because honestly, getting all my groceries with 3 kids has been super difficult, especially with the toddler. Because,
and they throw like everything in the cart.
Right. Or like Lux will be in the cart and takes up the space. So I love it because I can get all my stuff pretty much on any day. And it's nice because I can order that morning and get them by dinner time.
I love it. With Instacart, your groceries can be delivered at your door as fast as 1 hour, and all you do is go on the app and shop for the groceries you need from your favorite store from the comfort of your own home. They keep hot items hot and the cold items cold. It truly is amazing.
Try Instacart and get $10 off your first order. To get this limited time offer, go to instacart.com or download the mobile app and enter our promo code COFFEE at checkout. That's $10 off your first order today at instacart.com or through the mobile app. And don't forget to enter our code COFFEE. Instacart.com or through the mobile app with our code COFFEE at checkout.
So what's the outcome? Like,
Joe said he would see me in court.
Okay. So you could potentially still go to jail for 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. As far as I know, there's no like statute of limitations on it, but there's 2 incidences that I could file contempt on him and I haven't. It would really only be just to prove a point. Like, the rules don't just apply. Like, there's I don't know how much I talked about it on the podcast, but so we have first right to refusal in our agreement. Mm-hmm. And basically, if he needs a babysitter, if he goes out of town, any of that stuff, he's required to ask me if I want Isaac first.
Oh, okay.
And if I'm not available or I say no, he can then take him to a babysitter, family, whatever. I had asked for Isaac on a Friday for my friend's pool party, and Joe said no, they had plans. Mm-hmm. Come to find out, Joe dropped Isaac off at his brother's house in Pennsylvania, which is obviously another state, and then flew to Texas. I had no idea where my son was until Joe's brother had texted me for my son's login to PlayStation.
Oh, wow.
So
that's how you...
I got pissed off, and he tried to tell me that it doesn't apply to him. The first right to refusal doesn't apply to him in that situation because he was setting up quality time for his son with his uncle.
But it doesn't talk about quality time in the clause, right?
No. So I was irritated because to me, when you're setting up quality time, you're doing it in a time where you might have him, like, right? Like if I have all my kids from on a certain weekend and Javi's like, hey, can I take the boys to the movies? And I'm home and I'm not doing anything. To me, I'm giving up my time so that he can go spend quality time with so-and-so.
Right.
I don't need a babysitter, but he's having a sleepover over there or whatever.
Right.
So I felt, especially because I asked for Isaac, that was a time where he should have given him to me because I'm asking and you're going out of town.
Well, and I feel like as the kids get older, y'all are going to run into this like more often. Well,
and it's like Isaac's old enough to tell us what he wants to do.
Right.
If he said, Mom, don't worry about the pool party, I want to go with my uncle, I'd be like, okay. But he wanted to go to the pool party.
Well, and I know you're going to hate this advice.
Great.
And I'm giving advice not from somebody who's been in the situation, but just from an outsider looking in. I don't think court is the way to handle it.
It's not.
I think that you and Joe need to
handle it outside of court.
Handle it outside of court in a neutral territory, not at your house, not at his house, but
a public place where we're not going to raise our voice and storm out and get mad.
Talk face to face, explain things to each other, hear each other out. You're going to have to listen to him. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to listen to you. Yep. And you guys are going to have a meeting of the minds because at some point, yes, you have to adhere to the custody agreement because it's court ordered.
Really, we don't have to. It's just a fallback.
Right.
If we come up with something that works for us and we're using that, that's great. And then the court order is if all else fails. But when I'm asking for my son and you fought to have first right, Joe took me back to court just to add first right to refusal. Mm-hmm. And now you're not even using it because then this past weekend, Joe and V are at a wedding and V put it on social media and Isaac was not in the pictures. And I asked, listen to this. This is what pissed me the fuck off. Again, he's not asking me if I want him. Mm-hmm. Isaac gets home on Sunday. Or no, he didn't have him on a Saturday. They went to the wedding. Sunday, Joe texts me, hey, can Isaac stay the night? I said, no, you guys went out last night and didn't ask me if I wanted my son. So now I'm already pissed off. So I get Isaac home and I said, oh, Isaac, same thing I always do. Hey, Isaac, how was your weekend? What did you do? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, so then it's like covering things.
I literally didn't ask you anything. All I asked you is the same thing I ask you every single Sunday I get you back.
But that falls back on now it's putting stress on your child to feel like he has to pick sides.
When all the Hawaii stuff was going on, I knew he's 9. Mm-hmm. He overhears things, and Isaac is literally...
And he's smart.
Well, he's the biggest eavesdropper of all time, but he does it...
Professional.
Yes. Like, if you need a spy, you can hire Isaac. I knew he was going to hear stuff, and I knew his dad wasn't going to like it, and I said... You don't have to talk to this. I literally said to Isaac, you do not have to talk about this with your dad. But if he asks you, do not lie. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay. But when I'm getting him back and I'm asking you how your weekend was, like I always do, and you're telling me I don't know what you're talking about, I was like, what? So I don't understand how you're making, and I know people will agree to disagree, or maybe they just don't like me and they think that it's always me. No, this is a situation where this happened before Hawaii and this happened after Hawaii, but yeah, I'm still going to get crucified for the 9 to 5 in Hawaii when, to me, I think it was in the best interest of Isaac to be with his brothers. We went and did all kinds of like educational stuff. Isaac wrote about what we did every single day.
I love that.
So to me, I think that I made the right decision. And for Joe, I just don't know what's going on with us. Like, I want to work it out, but I feel like Isaac's at an age right now where he should be able to decide where he wants to be.
Well, that's where I was going with it. I think that it has to be handled outside of court, or else it's never going to be like truly properly handled, because you're both going to hold so much resentment, because let's just face the facts. The courts never make anybody happy.
No, they don't.
That's just what it is. Isaac is at a point that I feel like if next year you book the vacation for 3 weeks and you decide to do the same thing again, and this is going to become a tradition, I think that it needs to be planned so far in advance. So by the time that, and I know that you're not a pre-planner, but by the time that you get to that point, it's not even like a bone of contention.
This is what we're doing every year.
This is what we're doing every year. Mm-hmm. We've had the conversation with Isaac. If he wants to go, he can go. And if he doesn't want to go, then he doesn't have to go.
I mean, obviously moving forward, this was a lesson learned. I won't plan it over 4th of July. Mm-hmm. I would wait until, because that way we're not arguing about holidays at all. But I can't put enough emphasis on the fact that I offered him fucking Christmas, which he then proceeded to say, which is another issue, I would like to have 4 days for Christmas.
And you don't hate Joe. You hate...
No, I hate his guts right now.
You don't. You hate how he is handling the situation.
And he probably hates how I'm handling it.
Yeah.
But like I told V, I made this decision with the full awareness that I could potentially go to jail for 24 hours. And to me, it's worth it. So next year, I know moving forward, I'm going to do the 3-week thing, and it won't be over a holiday.
So guys, let's pray for Kail that when she goes to court, if she goes to court, that they don't find her in contempt and that she doesn't go to jail for 24 hours.
Knowing me, I'd be booked on a Friday and not get released till Monday.
Exactly. That's exactly what would happen.
What if you guys could use one program for all your health and weight loss needs? Thanks to Noom, you can. We all have a limited amount of time each day, and Noom just asks you to commit to 10 minutes a day.
With Noom, there is no hunting for training apps or workouts or calorie trackers and meal plans. Plus, add a goal specialist and a community of members to keep you motivated and accountable. It's like a workout bestie all in one place. I love Noom. I feel like the little quiz is super informative and the website is super user-friendly for you to be able to find everything that you need.
So Noom can help you make healthy choices, gain self-worth, or get into a better mood and control stress and anxiety. Maybe you don't want to go out because you don't want to be tempted to make poor choices, but Noom can help you learn to resist temptations and be comfortable in social environments, trust your ability to make good choices. Noom can help you break bad habits that you just thought you couldn't before. Oh, and the app is super convenient and easy to navigate. Noom is not a diet. It's a healthy and easy to stick to way of life. You don't have to change it all in one day. Small steps make big progress. Sign up for your trial at Noom, Noom.com/coffee. What do you have to lose? Visit Noom.com/coffee to start your trial today. That's Noom.com/coffee, the last weight loss program you'll ever need. They told me you have to spread your butt cheeks and cough.
No.
That's what they said. Yes, you do.
In case you're hiding drugs in there?
Yes.
Shut up.
Yeah, my friend's mom is a correctional officer. And just to add this, my friend...
If somebody asked me to spread my ass, I would be like...
You have to strip down in front of like a female correctional officer and she checks. And she was checking for warrants. Her mom's a correctional officer, my friend. And she was checking for warrants the whole time I was there.
She was like
she was on it.
Kail and Lindsie, like every 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
No warrants.
Warrants.
I text Kail and I'm like, so are you going to jail? Are you at jail? Kail's like, no warrants yet. I'm like, first of all, how does that bitch know that she doesn't have warrants? Like,
she was checking for me. She was on it.
She was on
loyal
it.
to the soil.
Okay, so now that we have cleared that up, because that was a huge question that has been on social media for probably like the past 2 weeks. Have people been asking you in your comments too? Like,
yeah, like
what's going on?
Well, they blame Chris for everything. So,
well, and you guys give Chris way too much credit for stuff
that is not relevant.
Right. Yeah. Like I feel like Chris gets like a bad rap.
I mean, Chris and I have definitely had our issues, and I've said what I've said, but I mean, he's not a bad person.
I think he's a good dad.
I mean, Leah loves him, and he literally took 5 kids to the beach by himself, so multiple times.
And Lux loves his dad.
Oh yeah, he loves his daddy.
So, you guys need to lay off of Chris for a while, because you know he's doing
human.
things, guys. He's human, and we all make mistakes. So let's do that. Switching gears a little bit, though.
Let's hear it. You have a lot of articles, huh?
No, I have real life stuff that is going on that I don't even have time for articles today.
Your hardwood floors were late yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like I am like a different person?
Oh, 100%. The energy is different. You're just calmer, like so calm. Is calmer a word?
I'm not sure, but we're going to use it. So
I just feel like I'm scatterbrained and I'm like all over the place, but you're just like telling a story and it's like monotone, like just so cool, calm, and collected.
Well, I want to still have like a personality, you know.
You have one.
But yeah, so everybody who listened to the anxiety episode last week with our resident therapist, Katie Morton, the response that we received, I know you got messages about it too.
Yeah.
I saw you posting it in your story. My Instagram direct message has never blown up as much as it did for that. And it honestly gave me a sense of ownership of like problems that I know that I have, that I was able to share with a broad audience and realize that I am just like everybody else.
Oh, and you're definitely not alone in this. For sure not.
But you do feel like a loner, kind of like when you have it. But I just wanted to thank everybody. I couldn't answer all of the messages, but I did go through every night when I laid down and just read messages, you know, over and over of people's stories that they shared and how people could relate to feeling the exact same way after having a baby, and even people who didn't have a baby yet, and you know, future moms talking about how they had experienced anxiety like in high school and just from bullying incidents. And
when you have anxiety, like what do you feel? Like what? Because I'm sure I have
out of control.
But what do you mean?
I feel like I'm always on edge, I guess, like always like thinking like I always think of like the worst case scenario in situations, and it's not just being like, it's not a mindset. It's truly like a medical like problem.
So like when I think of anxiety, because I don't think I have it on your level, I think of like when I'm getting nervous or like worried about something, mm-hmm. but then like,
but see, I'm always that way.
Oh, okay.
Like mine doesn't go away.
Like I'll say, I'm having anxiety about like a situation, mm-hmm. but I can't imagine that that's exactly how you feel, because then we would all be medicated.
Well, maybe
right.
We all should be.
I mean, I should be for other reasons. Hey guys, so I know you remember us always talking to you about BioClarity and how Lindsie and I have gone back and forth using the different products. I am on the clear skin routine again. I love it. I think it's great, and it helps me with problematic areas. And I think the last time I said this, I was on Essentials, so I kind of just
because you were doing the Accutane, now you're back on the clear skin.
Yes, so I love it. I think it's great, and it does have Floralux made from the chlorophyll from plants, and I just think it gives me a clean feeling, and
I love it. It's honestly so simplistic. Like it has 3 bottles that are just super easy to use. It doesn't take a brainiac to be able to use them. They travel very easy. I'm obsessed with a skin smoothie, and they're just great. And I actually have the clear skin routine and the essentials routine because I use them different times of the month, if you know what I mean. So...
A healthier, more radiant skin by going to BioClarity.com. And right now, for our listeners, you'll save 40% on skincare routines, plus an additional 15% off of everything on their website. That's an incredible deal, but you need to enter our code COFFEE at checkout. So go to BioClarity.com and get 40% off skincare routines, plus an additional 15% off of everything on their website when you use our code COFFEE at checkout.
I feel like because I've been dealing with anxiety for so long and didn't realize I had it until after I had Jackson and then, was diagnosed with anxiety. I feel like since being diagnosed with it, I've learned coping mechanisms. So yes, it helps me in some situations, but it doesn't take the anxiety away. It just takes...
So you're like always worried? Or you're just
it's
always...
like I'm a worrywart. Like I think of worst case scenarios. Like I talked about it on the podcast last week. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen yet, but I would, and even I will probably say like as of like the last 3 weeks, I'll see like one day I might be driving down the road and I'll see a car coming like the opposite direction. And I'll be like, oh my God, that car's going to crash into me. So I will like as a
freak out inside. You're freaking out
mentally, like inside I'm freaking out, and I will try to get over my car, like to the shoulder, like of the road or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So I'm furthest away from that car, so I know that it can't hit me.
Oh, that would be a terrible way to live if you're always thinking like that.
Like I'm always thinking like that. Or I will think of like my house. What if like my house caught on fire, and like do we have an exit plan? I will think of for example, like if Jackson is walking down my basement stairs, I will think like the most morbid thoughts, like, oh my God, like what if he like falls and like breaks his neck or something,
right.
you know, like,
right.
And I'm constantly,
and that's just all the time.
It's all the time. And like, I'll constantly be telling him, like, I'm constantly watching what he's doing. I'll be like, make sure you're holding onto the rail. Like I find myself doing that all the time. And not until I realized that I had anxiety was I able to realize the things that I was doing. Right. Because not
like hindsight is always 20/20. So
right.
You just were living with this. And now that you have figured out a way to deal with it, now you're like, oh, wow. Because you feel the difference too.
Well, so everybody knows that I'm more of like a naturalist. I, buy mostly everything organic. But as of the last 2 weeks, I also am ADHD. So I was on Vyvanse for all of college. My parents never really, I don't think that they ever really thought that I was ADD. Mm-hmm. I think that they always knew that I had anxious tendencies and would always call me like a worrywart.
ADD is what? Attention deficit disorder.
Attention deficit
ADHD.
Hyperactive disorder.
Got it.
So, my parents always knew that I was like anxious and stuff and would tell me like, don't be worried. Like I would literally like
relax, like calm down. Don't worry about that. And it's like,
but it's like literally like chemically, like
you can't help
I can't help but worry about it, Right. Like I would literally see like a cop and I would be like, oh my God, somebody's going to get arrested. Like, and it's just like a cop driving on the road. It's crazy. So, I was on Vyvanse for all of college and did very well. Like I graduated with almost a perfect GPA. And I don't remember ever really worrying in college. Right. And to be perfectly honest, that's when I probably should have been most worried in my life because my parents didn't financially support me through college.
Right. Like you were on your own.
I was on my own. So really out of my whole life, I should have been most worried then. But I wasn't. I never remember being worried. And I think about like my happiest times of my life. when were those? And it was like my college years were,
because you were on your meds.
I was on meds. I was on Vyvanse, and I have since gotten back on Vyvanse, and it's been life-changing for me. And I don't say this to try to preach, like, for people to get on Vyvanse,
right,
or to try to, you know, for you to be self-diagnosing. Like,
right. Definitely don't do that.
Definitely don't do that. But it's just something that has helped me. And obviously you notice a difference.
Oh my God. As soon as you like walked in the room, it was just like so calm. The energy is different.
Yeah.
And not that you don't have a personality. It's just, I think the energy is just different. So I think I can feel you feel it. I
feel like that when I walk into a room and I don't even realize it, that I guess because I am so anxious, I make everybody around me anxious. You know what I mean? So like, makes everybody around me on high alert because I am, you know, oh gosh, this has to be like perfect. When I am taking my Vyvanse and everything's just like normal, I feel like I don't even worry about those things. It's strange.
Okay. So you don't feel like things are out of control anymore? Like you don't feel like...
No.
Like, do you feel like you can focus on like one thing and get it done and then move to the next and then...
Yes, I'm super productive. Like...
What?
Super productive. I don't focus about like the small things that don't really matter. I feel like that's part of like my anxiety because I overthink things. So I think I'm just naturally just like an overthinker, and I will overthink things. But like, for example, I forgot my laptop like on the way here, and it was like 3 minutes from my house. I could have turned around, but I was like, hope Kail has her laptop. Like,
and I do.
And if Kail doesn't, then
I thought about it.
Adam better have his laptop.
Right. Someone will have a laptop.
Yeah.
No, I definitely have mine, but okay. We're turning over a new leaf then.
Yeah. It's like a new leaf, guys. So,
guys,
if you have any questions, you can always hit me in my DM and I will try to, respond as best I can. And also make sure you send messages to Coffee Convos podcast DM, unless it's specifically, you know, for me, because it's easier for me to go on there and answer and just, you know, put it in the story. Also, my little one started kindergarten.
Oh my gosh. I cannot. Lindsie sent me the picture and I was dying because I was like, he really started kindergarten. Like, he's a whole, like, little person. Like, he always was, but like now he's like in the real world. Like, he's in school.
Don't even act like you don't have a kid that's about to be in the real world too.
I know, but it's just crazy because like, I don't know.
When you look at Lincoln, do you think like he's about to like be in the real world? Like, he's about, like, his school years are about to start and they aren't going to stop. Like, do you look at him like that?
That's what I mean by like the real world. Like,
yeah.
From this point forward, when you step foot into this kindergarten, this school, you will be in school and working for the rest of your life now.
Right.
Like you're a real person.
Your days of dicking around in the basement
or
done.
Like fooling around in preschool are over.
Like,
no more nap time.
Canceled. So I've got a big story about this.
Is this about the Bible thumpers?
So this huge story. So we talked about on the podcast, I think several times, about like my journey of like finding the right school for him.
Right.
Haven't we?
Yes.
So, I talked about going through the process of admissions, you know, for private school and him wearing a uniform and all this stuff. And, let me backtrack a little bit. Will's mom was an educator in the public school system for like 30 years. I think the last 5 or 6 years of her, career, she did like IEPs. So she traveled from, she worked for the county within the high schools. So she would go around
IEPs for certain students.
Yeah. For certain students that, you know, needed them, and would have the conferences with the parents and stuff like that. So she's very well versed in, public education.
Right.
And so she was a proponent for the public school that we're districted to. Actually, people in our area specifically buy in our area
for the school,
for that public school.
That's where my new house is. People buy in the area for the school because it's so good. So good.
So I knew this, and, you know, just being a mom in the community and having, you know, acquaintances that have kids that are in, you know, elementary age, you always find yourself asking, you know, like, how do they like their school? Do they have a good, you know, situation with their teacher, you know, whatever. I don't know if that's being nosy or if it's just
being helpful.
Being helpful for yourself, for the
Use
future.
Use the Peanut app.
But I feel like I had never heard one bad thing. I don't want to name the elementary school, but I had never heard one bad thing about the elementary school. Will had asked tons of dads, you know, like about their kids' experiences, never heard one bad thing about it. But I did go to a private high school that was Christian based, and I wanted the experience for Jackson, and especially with him coming out of a preschool that also was religious affiliated.
Okay.
So I did not want him to lose the time, like they had Bible time and also chapel once a week, which is kind of like church and school. So I didn't want him to lose that. And so that was my main reason of picking the private school.
Okay.
So after he did his GCAP, which is, you know, like a test to see where
they stand,
where he is, you know, academically. Mm-hmm. I had a feeling, this was months ago, I had a feeling, and I couldn't really explain the feeling other than like an uncomfortable feeling or like a place that like I shouldn't have been.
Okay.
So I had a mom friend that had previously been in one of Jackson's preschool classes her daughter had. And I had reached out to her because she was at the school that we were going to send Jackson to, and said, you know, I just have this uneasy feeling. Like, did you feel like this after your daughter took the GCAP? And she was like, oh, yeah. She was like, it'll be fine. You know, you're just getting anxious and, you know, life's about to change and it'll be fine. So I'm like, okay, well, in hindsight, I should have trusted my mom instinct.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And I was like, okay, I'm going to trust, you know, what she says. Everything that they've said about the school, everything that I've heard has been good things. But mind you, when I would go to the school, I would never see students interacting because it would be like after school hours or when students were in the classroom. So I wouldn't see like students coming or going. So over the summer, you know, we buy the uniforms. July 31st rolls around. We had gone to the beach and come back the day before to go to the open house. Go to the open house and...
did you still have those same feelings?
Yes. I went into the classroom and I just felt like, you know, the kids were playing and like interacting with each other in the classroom, but it just, I don't know, it felt like I was like in a place that I shouldn't have been at. Like I almost felt like guilty
for sending him there,
for being there. Yeah. Like it was like a weird, like guilt. You should not be here feeling. So, we go into this carpool meeting and, or what do y'all call it?
Car line.
Car rider. We go to the carpool or car rider meeting and they show us like this video of how the carpool is supposed to run, you know, so like a mass of people can see, you know, how to run carpool. So, go to that and leave. And Will was not there on that day because he had, conveniently taken vacation, and his boss ended up being in town when he decided to take vacation. So he needed to go back to work. So he didn't get to go. So I'm sending Will like all of these messages, you know, like in the event that he had to pick him up, you know, he would know how to do everything. Cause I didn't want him to feel like left out, you know? So, next day rolls around, first day of school, wake up in the morning. And mind you, it was really hard because with a preschool schedule, they go to school so much later in the morning. Like it's almost 9:00 when they go and then they get out so early. So that 6:00 wake up call was
hard for both of
hit
y'all.
Us hard.
Yeah.
Mama was tired.
Yes.
So get up, get him, you know, in his uniform. Everything's great. I'm feeling anxious, have a lot of anxiety because one, he's going to a school that he's never been to. He's only ever been to his one preschool. So we didn't do like multiple preschools. He's only been to that one.
My kids too.
So that's all he knew. That was his life. And so since he was 2, so, take him, drop him off. That day we were allowed to walk in to drop off and walk in to pick up. The following day, school started on a Thursday. So Thursday and Friday to kind of like get the kids reacclimated to being, back in a routine. So Friday we had to do the carpool line. So Thursday, walk him in, drop him off, and everything seems like it's, going to be fine. He seemed happy. He was like playing with Connects at his table. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be okay. Of course, I like cried on the way to school. Anybody who listens to country music that knows the song Boy, it's talking like about a little boy growing up and how he's going to make mistakes. And I'll have to send you the song. But literally it played on the radio on the way to the school. And Will took off of work that day because he wanted to be there for like drop off and pick up. So Will drives us there. This song comes on. I'm literally like bawling in the front seat.
Oh my gosh, Lindsie.
I get there, all the stuff, goes fine. So we go in to pick up, or we get to the school to pick up, and the line is literally out the wazoo. Mm-hmm. Like, we did not get home. We live 15 minutes from the school. We did not get home until 4:30, and school lets out at 3:00.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, wow, that took a really long time. And so,
like, you can't plan for that every day.
Every day, like, that's not realistic, right? So they had told us that there would be hiccups, with like carpool and
right,
stuff
in the beginning of the year,
because people just generally we're all idiots, you know. So me included. So we go in to pick him up and get back in this line. We didn't even go through the freaking carpool, and we still didn't get home until 4:30. I'm like, damn, my whole life's over for the day,
Right,
so he gets in the car, and he didn't even seem like. I expected a kindergartner to come home and be super happy, excited,
and like tell you about his day.
Tell me
this is the first day
everything.
at like real school.
First day. I'm thinking the teacher's going to really hype this up. It's going to get him really excited. Nope. He didn't even want to talk to us. He sat in the back seat, acted like a robot, like very robotic. The only thing he could tell us was that a fire alarm went off in the school
on the first day
for 2 hours, and that they were required to evacuate. The kids were crying in the classroom. They only have one kindergarten. So he said all the girls in the class were crying and carrying on because they were scared, because they didn't know what was going on. They've never been a part of a fire drill, never been part of a fire alarm, anything. This goes on for 2 hours. So
it probably scared the shit out of all these kids, all these kindergartners on their first
shitless.
Day
like,
of school.
I'm surprised they didn't call for Jackson to get new underwear. Like,
he probably should have.
So, the only thing he wants to tell me is, obviously it was like very impactful, because that's the only thing that he could talk about was like this fire alarm. So obviously he was traumatized. My problem was that I was hearing about it from my 6-year-old, and the school did not, send a courtesy email. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have text alerts. They didn't send a text alert.
Right.
But they could send an email every single day over the summer asking for money for, they want to buy this bus for the school, and they can ask for money for that. They needed a refrigerator, so they could ask for money for that. And
but they can't send an email for a fire drill that accidentally went off for 2 hours on the first day of kindergarten.
Right. So that was problematic for me, but I was kind of like, you know what? Truly could have been an accident, and we're going to
look past it.
So I drop him off. The next day, Will goes back to work. I'm in charge of everything at this point. I drop him off. First day he's been through carpool. They have little 5th grade helpers, out there helping the little kids get out of the car, teachers on each end, watching the 5th grade helpers, making sure they're doing the right thing. And Jackson gets out of the car, and he's aimlessly looking around. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously he's aimlessly looking around because he's never done this before, and he doesn't know what to do. So mind you, he's got his guard up because he's had this 2-hour fire drill that he's traumatized from. I roll down the window, and I tell the little boy that's the 5th grade helper, I'm like, can you help him get to where he's going, because he doesn't know what to do? So he said, yeah, of course I'll help him. So sweetest little kid walks him into the gym. And if they get there before a certain time, they set up these stations in the gym, and they can have like playtime before school.
Okay.
So I had this gut feeling that Jackson wasn't at the right place where he was supposed to be. And so I called the school, and they sounded annoyed, like, whenever I called. But obviously, like, I'm just concerned. And I know what happened, that they didn't let me know, the day before. Mm-hmm. So she's like, yeah, we'll go and look and make sure. And I said, can you call me right back? Because I just have a bad feeling. So she calls me back, and she's like, well, he's in line now. So that made me feel like, well, maybe he wasn't in line before. Like, maybe they had to go and retrieve him, because it took like 15 minutes for them to call me back to let me know that he had made it to his class. So I'm like, I'm thinking that he didn't make it to his class on his own. They must have had to go and get him. So school, they sent an email out because carpool was not functional on the first day for the way that they had set it up, which obviously we established that sitting there. So we get an email the first night of school that says parents that have last names A through whatever needs to show up at 3:05 to 3:15, and parents with last names
what the fuck?
That
have they never done this before?
Through the rest of the alphabet show up at this other time.
No.
I'm like, that's not realistic.
No,
like, that doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
So I'm out running errands. In the general vicinity of the school. So school lets out at 3:00. I was in the area. Wouldn't have made sense for me to go home and come back. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and go and sit in the carpool line. So I'm the first person in the carpool line, 2:35, have my little car tag where they tell me to have the car tag, everything. I followed all the directions. They start coming out at 3:00, start loading kids into cars. The lady goes to blow the whistle that's standing in front of me, and Jackson's nowhere to be found. And I'm like waving my hands around. I'm like, hey, like, don't have my kid. I roll down the window. Don't have my kid. She flags me to go into this parking lot, and she's like, go and sit until we locate him. And I'm like, okay. So I sit there for like 15 minutes and still nothing. So I finally get like somebody that's running the carpool, and I'm like, hey, I'm getting worried. Like, where's my kid? The kindergarten teacher had told him to go out of the class when they called his number, to go out of the class, follow some green sign to carpool, and he would like get into the car there. I'm like, first of all, so he goes out of the class, and Jackson's story is like a whole gaggle of 5th grade students come running down the hallway. It scares him because he says they're big. So he goes and sits and hides and cries because he's afraid. Why were they not escorting him to carpool?
That's what I was just about to say. Kindergarteners on even the second day, probably the first full week, should be escorted so that they are creating a memory of where to go. That's why
he wouldn't have had a memory because he's never done it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So he should be escorted for the first week. All of them. All the kindergartners.
Yeah. So I call, after I get him, he's like hysterical. So I call the school. I'm like, I need to talk to the principal. The principal literally is so demeaning. She was like, every time she would say something, she would be like, Lindsie. And I'm like, I'm pretty aware of what my name is. So,
well, also, she shouldn't be calling you by your first name.
Yeah. So call me by my last name, first of all, because I don't know you on a first name basis like that. But whatever, I wasn't trying to be catty. I was like, if you could just have the superintendent of the school give me a call so I can figure out what's going on, because obviously y'all have dropped the ball. Like,
because you know what I feel like sometimes? I feel like some teachers and some maybe like principals and stuff, I feel like they just have these expectations that this is what the kids should know what to do. They should just know. They should be.
You're so right.
She
said that. She said,
like, there's an expectation. Well, not all kids are the same, number one. Kindergartners they're 5 and 6 years
brand
old.
new.
Like, relax. Like, they're not going to get it in their first 1 or 2 days, let alone the first week. Like,
brand new. They are brand new. And anyhow, you're exactly right, because she said, to that point that you just made, this expectation, she said, we have an expectation for our children, and they need to follow directions.
Okay, well,
he didn't even understand the directions.
So maybe help him learn them so that he can go out on his own.
Oh, so it gets better. So,
it gets better.
I talked to email the superintendent. He emails me back, and I tell him, like, all of my concerns, why they didn't communicate these things. Obviously not a first great start to school, that this was a school that was chosen for like, we chose
based on the recommendations of the school, and y'all have already
shit the bed.
Yep.
So in hindsight, I feel like I should have gone with my mom gut when he did that GCAP. I should have gone and toured the public school, because when I tell you,
I thought you toured it.
I didn't tour it. So we had planned to go and tour it and had scheduled to go and tour it, but after we toured the other school first, we had already electively made the decision to send him there. So we were like, we don't want to waste our time to go. So Jackson and I, long story short, I know it was a long story, but I withdrew him on Friday from the private school, and I electronically withdrew him. I went to get his stuff on Monday that was left at the school.
I have the chills.
And withdrew and enrolled him and had an appointment at the public school on Monday. Literally the kindest,
people.
most humble, normal. I want my kid to be normal. Like, he already deals with so much stuff that's not normal. It just felt like such a relief. And I feel like that I needed to go through that experience to see the other side so that I could.
Not public schools get a bad rap, I feel like. I mean, yeah, there are public schools that are not great, but I mean, there are really good public schools.
He went into his class. His first day was yesterday because the day that I enrolled him.
What day is today? Today's
Wednesday. The day that I enrolled him, it was like my appointment wasn't until 10, so it would have already been after lunch by the time.
He started Tuesday.
So he started Tuesday. Yesterday was his first day. He was so excited. He was like, look, it's just like Spider-Man. Like, they have lunch trays. He wants to be normal. Like, he has a desire to be normal. He's like, I want to ride the bus. I want to.
Are you going to let him?
I think I'm going to let him.
I rode Isaac to school, I drove Isaac to school for the first 3 years, and he didn't want to do it. He was like, I want to get on the bus. I said, all right.
As much as it makes me be anxious because I have to be out of control, I've had to realize through this experience that I can't control every aspect of everything because I will drive myself crazy, and I have driven myself crazy. And I have to let some stuff go and know and like trust that there's a plan. Like, I believe in prayer. Obviously, you believe in crystals, so like you can pray to your crystals.
Listen,
I'm going to pray to the Lord.
I think that's good though. And you already noticed a difference in Jackson.
Such a great first day. He came home so excited. When we went, they allowed us to walk him into the class since it was like his first day. And a Hispanic kid came in.
Oh, he's going to get the diversity. He's going to get the everything.
A white kid came in.
It wasn't like that at the private school?
No. And I want him to have that experience. And I feel like through this whole process, I have talked to so many of my girlfriends that have their kids in public school, and they said, it's not because we can't afford to send our kids to the private school.
Right.
The reason that they're in public school is because they need to learn real life, and like people that have more than them, people that have less than them, life experiences that they're not going to get, that they're going to be sheltered from, that's going to set them up for unrealistic expectation.
It's really weird that you say that because, I mean, just like you said, I mean, I could afford to send my kids to private school, but Javi went to private school and they never had air conditioner in their school, in their private school. Yeah.
What?
And I mean, they withheld his diploma because his dad didn't pay like $250. It was like a lot of bullshit. So I was like, I'm not sending my kids to, because that was a conversation I had when I was with him. And I don't know. I just was never interested. And truly, I only know of one private school where we're at.
It was weird too. It was a weird feeling because when I had already mentally made, Will trust my gut, on a lot of stuff with Jackson. So he'll have an input, but it's not necessarily like he's going to like force something. So if it like I'm strong in my conviction, he'll be like, I trust, like what your gut. But it was weird because he wasn't so keen on the private school side of things to begin with. But when I said, no, this is going to work, like I already know it's not going to work. I already have terrible feelings about it. Will was actually the one that was like, well, he's already started the first 2 days.
Oh, and he was wanting to
finish.
Continue. No.
I said, it's not
That'll
even been like,
traumatize him.
He only did 2 worksheets. And the worksheets were like dumb.
Well, and you don't want to, if he already had a first rough start to the kindergarten in that school, imagine what the rest of the year would have looked like for him. He
woke up this morning. I got him. That's why I was 15 minutes late.
Oh, you were getting him ready for school.
I was getting him ready for school. And even though the school day, it starts so early, I can tell you that he was so excited that he could wear a Spider-Man jacket. And I didn't really realize that
those little things matter so much to them. Yep.
Like,
I remember like laying my outfits out on the bed and like sleeping next to it because I was so excited about like my new outfit and like all my things, And the majority of my education was public school education other than high school. So I just went to private school 10th through 12th grade. So the majority of my education came from public school. So, I mean, I don't really consider myself dumb. I mean, kind of, but stop.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't really consider those were probably like the best years of my life, like looking back on it.
Yeah.
And you see some of the funniest stuff happen, because like kids just don't give a shit.
Oh, no, I let
like,
Lincoln pick his own outfits and they never match. And he just has a ball with it. And
Jackson laid his outfit out last night.
And probably slept next to it. That was me.
Yeah.
That was me. I put the whole thing together. I can't wait for Lincoln to start.
I was never that person. Like, and
Really?
It's so weird because you would think like how I like to be put together that I would have been that girl.
I had it ready for a week.
No, that's not a thing.
Yeah, it is.
So Jackson had a Black Panther shirt. His class is a superhero class. So I think he wanted to really like flex on him, I think he wanted to flex on him. Like, I've got all this superhero shit.
Yeah, I have this.
And he had a Black Panther shirt laid out, a pair of royal blue shorts.
Okay.
A
Spider-Man
jacket that his grandparents bought him from Target 2 weekends ago, that when you put the hood on, it's got like the eyes on it. And I'm like, okay, they're going to think you're a robber.
You let him wear his outfit that he picked out?
I didn't. He wore the Spider-Man jacket, but I had to change the undershirt and like
Lindsie.
I was like, these are two different outfits. I'm like, when you wear Black Panther, you have to be
a picture of his outfit on? Because I want to compare the Lincoln outfit and the Jackson outfit because I'm going to let Lincoln pick his own out.
He wore the red Air Max today too.
Well, and Lincoln's colorblind too, so it adds an extra touch.
I forgot about him being colorblind, so he really is on one.
Works the grout fits.
Okay, so this is you have to look at this one first because this doesn't have the shoes.
The one,
and please don't look at the back of my house where it's a mess.
I won't judge.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, the socks to match the Spider-Man. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, but here he needed this photo with the straight up Air Max, like the red Air Max.
He did so good.
No, he didn't do that. I did.
Oh, you did
because
good.
When he went to bed, I took his jacket and ironed it because I can't stand wrinkles.
Oh, good.
And then I got just like a solid shirt to go under because I'm like, that jacket's a little bit busy, for like
so we
Black
need to
Panther
tone it down a little bit.
And Black Panther, it was like, it's like pretty tacky. And then those blue shorts just like wasn't in the same color scheme as those.
Right.
So I'm like, it doesn't really go. But he was real determined that was the outfit. So you know what? I let him roll with it, and he's loving his life.
I bet.
And he's so excited for Taco Thursdays, and I'm so excited for him to be normal.
Taco Thursday is not normal, Lindsie.
Why?
It's Taco Tuesday.
Well, at their school, they do Taco Thursdays.
Well, that's not normal, so they need to get it together.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's their plan, and if they don't want to be normal, I'm okay with it because my kid... It
feels good for y'all.
It feels so good, and I feel so relieved, and I had so much more stuff to talk about, but I think we're like over time for our week.
Well, we have so much catching up to do, so we'll have to do that on the next episode.
I literally have like probably another hour.
I have so much to talk about. I have crystals
stuff.
And new house and like play sets and bullshit, and we'll have to do that another day.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's unfortunately all the time we have for today. So if you have not subscribed to us, you can do that by searching the Purple Podcast app on your iPhone. Type in Coffee Convos, click subscribe, click the 5th star, leave us a nice review, and we will talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.